You know that moment when someone tells you not to be dramatic? Yeah. It's always right after they've done something that would have caused a Greek tragedy if the roles were reversed. But let's rewind. Before the incident, before the email, before the 7 a.m. scan that sent my brother into full-on panic mode in front of 12,000 people, let's go back to the quiet part of the story. The part no one in my family ever cared to listen to. Because that's what I was in our house, background noise. My name's Evan. I grew up in a house where the sun rose and set on my older brother, Ryan. 2 years older, louder, athletic, and my mom's favorite descriptor, charismatic. That was her way of saying he could fail upward and still be praised for trying. Me? I was the quiet one. The sensitive one. The kid who used headphones like armor and memorized album liner notes like scripture. While Ryan was scoring goals and stealing girlfriends, I was in my room ripping CDs and syncing bootlegged concert footage from YouTube. Music wasn't just my escape, it was the only space where I felt seen. And if there was one band that saved me, stitched me together when everything else made me feel like a placeholder in my own life, it was Fall Out. Not Fall Out Boy. Not the 1975. No, Fall Out, the indie rock trio from Seattle with the voice like gravel and lyrics like razor wire dipped in honey. They were never big enough to hit stadiums. But they were big enough to feel like a secret between me and a few thousand strangers who just got it. I found them at 14. My first heartbreak, my first panic attack, my first time realizing that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't the problem. Maybe I just didn't fit the playlist my family had been looping since birth. They weren't fans. Obviously. Too angsty, my dad said once. Are they always this loud? From Mom, in the tone of voice she used when the neighbor's dog barked too long. And Ryan? They sound like your diary got a guitar. He thought that was hilarious. I didn't laugh. But I didn't argue either. I stopped playing music out loud. I kept it to myself. Headphones in. Volume up. World muted. Which brings us to now. I'm 24. Still not the favorite, but I moved out, got a job at a tech firm doing UI design, and slowly built a life with people who didn't look at my interests like they were personality defects. My coworkers? Weird. Brilliant. A little neurotic. Just like me. My roommate Joe? The kind of person who sends you memes when you're sad and shows up with bagels when you're too proud to admit you skipped breakfast. And Fall Out? They were back. 10-year anniversary tour. One city. One night. One final set before they re-evaluated the future of the band. The second I saw the post, I didn't hesitate. I'd waited almost half my life for this. I didn't even blink at the price. Front row VIP, $487 for 2 tickets. I bought them instantly. One for me. One for Joe. And I was counting the days. But life's funny like that. The people who barely notice your happiness. They always seem to find a way to trip over it on their way to mess something up. 3 days before the concert, I made the mistake of going home for dinner. I hadn't been there in a while, not since Ryan moved back in, temporarily, after his startup folded and he needed time to reset. Translation, free food, Wi-Fi, and Mom doing his laundry. Dinner was predictably uncomfortable. Ryan held court like always, talking about his new networking group that mostly sounded like guys from LinkedIn who thought crypto was a personality. My mom beamed. My dad nodded like a bobblehead. I barely got 2 sentences in before Mom changed the subject to Ryan's perseverance. I should have left right after dessert. But I forgot my phone in the guest room. That mistake would cost me almost $500, and something way more personal. When I came back downstairs, my phone was right where I left it. But I didn't notice the browser was still open on the Ticketmaster login. I didn't notice the subtle smirk on Ryan's face. And I definitely didn't notice the forwarded email he sent from my account until it was too late. But that comes later. At the time, I just went home. Excited. Naive. Still believing that the worst thing Ryan had ever done was lie about who scratched Mom's car in high school. I had no idea. I had no idea what was coming. 3 days. That's how long I had left before the concert of a lifetime. I'd ordered a limited edition Fall Road Tour hoodie. Joe was already planning our pre-show playlist for the drive. I even took the next morning off work so I could just exist in the afterglow of screaming lyrics with 1,000 other misfits, who knew exactly why the line, "I built a home from silence," could make you cry in a parking lot. Everything was set. Until I got a notification that made my heart do that weird cold lump drop into my stomach. "Your transfer request has been completed." Transfer request? I froze. Opened the app. Logged in. The VIP tickets, gone. Transferred. To a different email address. I blinked like it might undo what I was seeing. It didn't. I triple-checked the order history. The tickets I had secured 6 months ago, $487 worth of healing, were now in someone else's name. I frantically clicked Contact Support, but of course Ticketmaster's chatbot had the emotional range of a toaster. "Did you authorize this transfer?" "No. Unfortunately, completed transfers are final." Final? Final? I called Joe in a full panic spiral. She was at work and had to duck into a supply closet to hear me hyperventilate about missing QR codes, betrayal, and capitalism. Her first words were, "Okay, slow down. Who the hell has your tickets?" I didn't know yet. But I had a feeling. A very strong, punch-me-in-the-gut feeling. So I did what no one wants to do when they already suspect betrayal. I opened my sent mail. And there it was. An email from me, well, from my account, sent to Stevenson@gmail.com. With the message, "Hey. Enjoy the show, smiley face. Here are those Fallrow VIP tickets. You deserve them." I didn't write that. I never wrote that. And I sure as hell don't know any Stevenson. My jaw clenched so hard I thought I cracked a filling. Because there was only one person who'd had access to my phone in the last 24 hours. And his name started with R and ended with, "Why are you like this?" I called him. Straight to voicemail. So I drove 30 minutes back to my parents' house, adrenaline pumping like I was preparing for battle. My hands shook on the steering wheel. Not because of the money, okay, partly because of the money, but mostly because of what it meant. It wasn't just a concert. It was mine. Something I cared about. Something I looked forward to. And Ryan? He just gave it away like it was a side of fries. When I pulled into the driveway, his car was out front. Of course it was. My parents' house was still his base camp, his castle, his never-ending source of unconditional praise. I didn't knock. I walked straight in. He was on the couch, eating trail mix and watching YouTube clips of some founder hustle culture guy who probably thinks empathy is a scam. "Hey," he said, like I'd just come over to borrow a charger. "You good?" I held up my phone. "You sent my tickets to someone." His face didn't even twitch. "Oh. Yeah. That. Like I'd spilled juice on his sneakers. "Who the hell is Stevenson?" He shrugged. "Melissa. She's been going through stuff." My brain flatlined. "You gave my concert tickets, VIP tickets, to your ex-girlfriend?" "She's not really an ex. We're kind of in a renegotiation phase." I blinked so hard I saw static. "You accessed my account. You sent them without asking. And your defense is negotiation?" He threw up his hands like I was the unreasonable one. "You left your phone open." I saw the email. "I thought you'd already decided to give them to someone." "To someone? You thought I spent $487 and waited 6 months to maybe gift them to your failed situationship?" He rolled his eyes. "It's not a big deal." I stared at him. "Not a big deal." The line that launched 1,000 betrayals. I turned to my mom, who just walked in from the kitchen. She glanced between us like we were arguing over who got the last pancake. "Mom," I said, voice trembling, "Ryan gave away my concert tickets. The ones I bought with my own money. The ones I'd been waiting for all year." She sighed. Not angry. Not shocked. Just mildly inconvenienced. "Honey, don't be dramatic. I didn't speak. Couldn't. That phrase hit me like a slap made of every ignored moment in the last 2 decades. Don't be dramatic. Right. Because being angry that your brother hijacked your account and gave your tickets to his maybe girlfriend is clearly an overreaction. I didn't argue. Didn't yell. Didn't even breathe too loud. I just turned around, walked out, and let the door shut behind me. Because that's what I do. I stay quiet. I stay calm. And then? I plan. When I got back to my apartment, I didn't speak to anyone for hours. Joe was out for the evening, probably doing normal human things like existing without betrayal poisoning her blood. I just sat on the couch, hoodie on, lights off, the Fall Rose setlist playing softly through my speakers like a lullaby written for disappointed sons. I wasn't angry. Not the explosive kind, anyway. I was hollow. There's a specific kind of numbness you develop when you're the quiet sibling. It's not passive. It's just practiced. You learn to let things slide off your back, because if you don't, the weight of never being believed, never being prioritized, would bury you alive. Ryan had taken things before. My charger. My job interview shirt. My college meal points. Yes, he once visited campus and bought $120 worth of cafeteria sushi. Because he forgot his wallet. But this? This wasn't forgetful. This wasn't petty. This was deliberate. And what made it worse? They all acted like I'd imagined the harm. Don't be dramatic, Mom had said. Not sorry, not we'll fix it, not even we'll talk to him. Just, don't be dramatic. And Ryan? His apology had all the weight of a used napkin. I replayed the moment on the couch, her face, his shrug, the void of acknowledgement that echoed louder than any insult. I could feel the old instincts creeping back in. Let it go. Be the bigger person. Swallow it, like I always had. But something shifted. Maybe I was older. Maybe I was just tired. Or maybe, just maybe, I'd finally reached the moment every quiet kid eventually stumbles into. The moment you realize silence doesn't always make you noble. Sometimes it just makes you a target. And I wasn't about to spend another chapter of my life as Ryan's character development. So I got up, opened my laptop, and started digging. First step? The email Ryan used to forward the tickets, mstevenson@gmail.com. It didn't take long to find the Ticketmaster account linked to it. I knew how the system worked. They let you see the ticket number and event details even after a transfer. I just had to play dumb and click through the Track My Tickets tab from the forwarded email. And there they were. 2 shining digital passes. Full row VIP Section A, Row 1. My tickets. Under Melissa Stevenson's name. They even had a cute little perks badge. Early venue access. Artist Q&A session. Signed limited edition poster. Backstage photo moment. Oh, and the cherry? Passes include early scan at 7 a.m. on the day of event. Because of course they did. Of course the tickets I'd been saving for half a year came with backstage access. That wasn't just a show. That was a memory bank. And Ryan gave it away like a clearance item at a garage sale. But now I knew. I had a name. I had digital proof. And I had something else too, a faint memory from a Reddit thread I'd saved ages ago. Something about how Ticketmaster has a fraud protection protocol. A way to flag scalped or suspiciously transferred tickets. Especially if the account owner says they were compromised. I bookmarked the thread. Then opened a new tab. And drafted a single sentence. Hello, I'd like to report unauthorized access and transfer of my purchase tickets for the Fall Rose show. Attached are purchase confirmations, ID verification, and screenshots of the suspicious emails sent from my account without consent. No caps. No insults. No sarcasm. Just facts. Cold and unshakable. The kind of email that doesn't shout. It just waits quietly. And lets the system do the rest. But I didn't hit send yet. Because there was one more step. I needed to be sure. So I messaged Joe. Hey, hypothetical question. If someone used your account to transfer concert tickets to their ex and then told you to chill about it, would you go full petty or quiet vengeance? Her response came in 0.2 seconds. Quiet vengeance. Always. Make it poetic. Poetic. I stared at those words for a second. Then clicked. Attach file. The confirmation receipt, the ticket numbers, the exact time the transfer happened, all of it. I hovered over the send button. Took a breath. And whispered, "Don't be dramatic, right?" Then I hit send. And smiled for the first time that day. I didn't expect a response right away. It was a Friday night. Ticketmaster wasn't exactly known for warm, human interaction even during business hours. I half expected my email to disappear into a customer service void, right next to, "Why are these fees half the ticket price?" and, "No, I don't want to buy insurance for a one-night event." But at 10:06 p.m., something pinged. "Ticketmaster support, your case has been opened." That was fast. The message was standard copy-paste fluff. "We take fraud reports seriously. We'll investigate thoroughly. Please do not attempt to retransfer tickets during the review." But one sentence stood out. "If the transfer was made without your consent, our team may revoke access to the tickets and flag them as invalid." I reread that line 3 times. Because suddenly, I wasn't just dealing with theft. I was holding a live wire. And Ryan? He had no idea he was dancing barefoot on it. I spent the rest of the night doing what any responsible millennial would do after declaring emotional war. I deep-cleaned the apartment, while plotting revenge in my head like it was a Netflix drama. Joe came home just after midnight and found me scrubbing the stovetop like it had personally insulted my honor. "So, we sending people to jail, or just mild humiliation?" I glanced over my shoulder. "Honestly? I'm aiming for biblical." She grinned. "That's the spirit." We talked it through over leftover pad thai. She suggested creating a dummy email to thank Melissa for attending on my behalf, just to see what the reaction would be. I vetoed it, not because it wasn't funny, but because I didn't want to give them a heads up. If this was going to work, it had to land clean. Like a trapdoor opening under a smug smile. By Saturday morning, the case was marked in review. By Saturday night, the tickets had vanished from the track my tickets page. And by Sunday, I got the second email. Your original tickets have been reinstated to your account. No apology. No explanation. Just done. Like the system had quietly reached into the server, pulled my property back from the void, and folded its arms like a silent bouncer at the velvet rope. I checked the event app. There they were. VIP. Section A, Row 1. With my name on them. And, as an extra treat, a new line of text underneath. Original ticket owner only. ID required at scan. I stared at that sentence like it was a Monet. ID required. Oh no. Because now I wasn't just back in the game, I was holding the detonator. You see, there's a little-known trick with these kinds of events. When a ticket is flagged and returned to the original purchaser, it doesn't delete the old QR code. It just invalidates it. Meaning? If someone tries to use the old version, the one Ryan sent to Melissa, it doesn't beep. It blares. As in fraud alert. Immediate lockout. Possible security review. And guess who's still blissfully unaware that anything's changed? I knew I couldn't tell them. They'd panic. Try to pivot. Maybe even fake a "can't make it" text to save face. No. That wasn't the point. The point wasn't revenge. It was revelation. I wanted them to feel what I had, the disbelief, the dismissal, the way your stomach drops when something meaningful is taken from you and no one around you seems to care. I wanted them to arrive in style, dressed up for a memory they thought they stole. I wanted them to stand in line, smiling, thinking they'd pulled something off. And then I wanted to let the system say no. Not me. Not with yelling. Not with tears. Just a cold, mechanical no. Because sometimes, the best sound isn't a scream. It's silence after a locked gate. There's a weird kind of peace that comes the morning of something big. Like your body knows something's about to happen but your brain hasn't caught up yet. I woke up before my alarm, stretched like I hadn't slept under the weight of mild betrayal and tech support for 2 days straight, and made the best cup of coffee I've ever had in my life. Jo walked in wearing her floral hoodie and immediately squinted at me. "You look smug." "I'm not smug," I said, sipping from my not today, Satan mug. "You look like someone who's holding on to a secret that's about to hit atmospheric levels of petty." I shrugged. "I'm just excited for the show." She raised an eyebrow. "You're humming." "You never hum." "Okay, fair. But how could I not? Because while I was pouring oat milk into my coffee, somewhere across town, Ryan was waking up to a completely different vibe. He and Melissa, who, let's be honest, probably still thought this was some kind of romantic gesture and not the result of pure theft, were likely doing the whole influencer couple, concert day, routine. Matching outfits. Starbucks selfies. #blessed captions. Their passes said early access at 7 a.m. VIPs were allowed in first. I knew that. I counted on that. Because the scan wouldn't fail quietly. No. Ticketmaster fraud scans have this beautiful little feature called a red flag lockout, a soft security term that basically translates to security now knows your face and your wristband won't be working today, thanks for playing. I wasn't going to the early entry myself. Jo and I planned to hit the venue at normal hours. Doors opened again at 9:30 a.m. for general VIP check-in. But that didn't mean I wasn't tracking the drama. At exactly 7:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. Not a call. A text. From my mom. "Mom. Hey, honey. Do you know why Ryan and Melissa's tickets aren't scanning?" I smiled. Took a long sip of coffee. Didn't reply. 3 minutes later. "Mom. They said staff pulled them aside and said the passes were flagged. They're really upset." Another minute. "Mom. Ryan says he's being accused of fraud. Did something happen?" I set my phone down. Let it buzz. It kept going. Melissa, bless her optimistic soul, must have tried to scan the same QR code multiple times. Which meant the system locked it down harder. I imagined it like a video game status screen. Status flagged. Access revoked. User embarrassed. Jo was watching me now with the kind of look reserved for cats watching birds through glass. "Do I even want to know what's happening on your phone right now?" I turned it around and showed her the texts. She let out a gasp-laugh combo that could have registered on the Richter scale. "No. You did not. I technically didn't do anything. I just reported a fraud. The system handled it." She covered her mouth. "You are an agent of chaos." A polite one, but still. I nodded. I'm tired of being the emotional airbag for this family. They push, they dismiss, they smother, they steal, and then I'm the one expected to smile and pay the tip. Jo raised her coffee mug like it was a toast. To politely withdrawing your emotional labor. To letting Ticketmaster do what therapy hasn't. I replied. My phone buzzed again. "Mom, this is humiliating. They're being escorted out of the VIP line. Can you please explain what's going on?" This time I responded. Just 2 words. "Ask Ryan." No punctuation. No heart emoji. Just enough rope. By 8:10, the text stopped. At 8:32, my dad called. I let it go to voicemail. Jo and I left around 9. We parked a few blocks away and walked in, wristbands, ID, everything smooth. No lines. No drama. Just quiet satisfaction and the soft thrill of earned justice. As we passed the general crowd area, Jo elbowed me gently and pointed. 2 figures. Ryan and Melissa, sitting on the curb outside the venue. Melissa's mascara was smudged. Ryan looked like someone had just told him Bitcoin was a pyramid scheme. They didn't see me. But I saw them. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel like the background noise. I felt like the main event. When I got home from the concert, I had 11 missed calls. 7 from Mom. 2 from Ryan. 1 from Dad. One from an unknown number I was 99% sure was Melissa using *67 like it was 2003 again. Joe and I were still buzzing. Not just from the music, which was incredible, every lyric landing like it was custom written for kids who grew up being silenced, but from the pure, guilt-free satisfaction of watching karma hit harder than a bass drop. The whole way home, Joe kept randomly bursting into laughter. Every time we'd pass a billboard or bus bench with a QR code on it, she'd point and go, "Too soon?" I didn't respond to any of the calls. Not yet. But I did open the group family chat the next morning, which had been dead silent for 2 days, and saw it had come alive overnight like a Christmas tree of dysfunction. Mom, 9:03 p.m. Evan, what happened? Mom, 9:06 p.m. This isn't like you. Mom, 9:14 p.m. Can you please call me? Dad, 10:01 p.m. This situation has embarrassed the entire family. Ryan, 10:15 p.m. Real mature dude. Mom, 10:22 p.m. I'm trying to de-escalate this. Please respond. Ryan, 10:31 p.m. You had your fun. Happy now? Mom, 11:12 p.m. Evan? I stared at that last one for a minute. Not angry. Not even smug. Just stunned. Because that thread? That was the most attention I'd received from my family in years. All because I stopped being easy. All because I stopped absorbing the hits so someone else could laugh. At noon, I finally answered one call, Mom. Her voice immediately launched into soft guilt mode. Like when your boss says, "Hey, before asking if you can work this weekend just one more time." Honey, what happened? Ryan's devastated. I didn't speak at first. Just let her sit in the awkward weight of her own sentence. Finally I said, "He stole something from me." That's extreme. No, I cut in. Calm. Controlled. He accessed my account? Without permission. And transferred my property. That's not a mistake, Mom. That's theft. There was a pause. Then, you could have told us how important the concert was. I let out a quiet laugh. You told me not to be dramatic. That's not what It is. Word for word. And you've said it my whole life. She fell quiet. I heard her sigh, then shuffle something in the background, probably pacing the kitchen while trying to spin this back into a group hug. We just think this went too far. Security was called. Ryan's still humiliated. Melissa cried the whole ride home. I blinked slowly. And there it was. The death of the conversation. The realization that I wasn't coming with an apology. That I wasn't going to glue the cracks back together so we could pretend none of this ever happened. I didn't humiliate them. I said. They did that. The system just showed the receipt. But I'm not interested in patching things over so we can all pretend Ryan's actions have no consequences. That's not healthy for me anymore. She tried one last pivot. Well, maybe you could talk to your brother. Just hear him out. I took a breath. Then said the most honest 2 words I'd ever spoken to her. I'm good. Click. Not dramatic. Just done. That night, I made dinner with Joe, blasted the Fall Row album again, and sent a photo of the signed poster to our group chat. No caption. No context. Just a quiet reminder that this time, I got the thing I wanted. And no one took it from me. I didn't respond to the group chat again. Not when my mom sent a "just checking in" message like we hadn't just had a verbal Cold War. Not when Ryan sent a passive-aggressive meme that said, "Some people really hold a grudge for no reason." And definitely not when my dad chimed in with, "Let's not let one little incident divide the family." One little incident. It's always little when it happens to you, isn't it? Meanwhile, I was still getting texts from Melissa. She had gone from vaguely polite, "Hey, I didn't know, I thought it was a gift, hope you're okay," to full-on damage control after realizing the tickets were never Ryan's to give. Somewhere between message 3 and 4, she attached a screenshot of her own text conversation with Ryan, which included, "Ryan, don't worry. It's mine. Evan's chill. He doesn't even like crowds anyway." I laughed out loud when I saw it. Joe looked up from the couch and said, That's bold of him to make life decisions for you and commit fraud in the same sentence. A week later, the invitations arrived. No, not those invitations. A family dinner at my parents' place. My mom even called it a reset. As if years of dismissal, one big betrayal, and a whole lot of silence could be rebranded like a shampoo line. She left a voicemail. We just want to come together and move past this. I'm sure Ryan will apologize. Sure. Right after the Pope skydives in a fall-row hoodie. I didn't RSVP. Didn't text. Didn't confirm. But I did drive by the house at 6:45 p.m., just to see. Through the living room window, I saw them, my mom setting the table, Ryan lounging with a drink in hand, my dad opening a bottle of wine. 3 places set. They really thought I was going to show. Like nothing happened. Like the person they'd ignored for 2 decades would suddenly abandon boundaries because someone baked a pie. Joe asked me later if I wanted to talk to them. Just to close the loop. I don't want closure, I told her. I want peace. Closure implies something mutual. This was self-preservation. She nodded like she understood. Because she did. And here's the thing no one tells you about being the quiet one in a family. You notice everything. You remember every time they said, "He didn't mean it," instead of, "I'm sorry." Every eye roll. Every brushed off interest. Every dinner conversation that circled back to Ryan like he was the sun, and we were lucky just to orbit. And when you finally step back, finally say, "No more," they act like you're the one who changed. But I didn't change. I just stopped participating in the version of me they preferred. The one who stays silent. The one who lets it go. The one who hands over the tickets, the credit, the comfort. Not anymore. That week, I framed the concert poster. It's now hanging in my hallway, right across from my bedroom. Every morning I see it. Every night I pass it. Not because it's just a cool band poster, but because it reminds me of the first time I stopped waiting for someone else to do the right thing. And did it myself. A month later, I got one last text from Ryan. No apology. Just, "I still think you overreacted. But whatever. It's done." I didn't reply. Instead, I opened the concert app one last time, scrolled to the now expired QR code, and screenshotted the tiny banner underneath it. Access revoked. Then I cropped it. Sent it back to him. No message. Just that. He didn't text again. And I haven't heard from my parents since either. It's not that I cut them off completely. I just stopped showing up where I wasn't seen. And that's the thing. They thought I was being petty. But I wasn't. I was being final. Because when someone steals from you, your joy, your moment, your voice, you don't owe them softness just because you share a last name. You owe yourself peace. And if that peace comes with a fraud alert and a cancelled QR code? Even better.